How to predict a divorce with 91% accuracy. You've probably heard people say, you never really see divorce coming. Thing is, that is not true. After years of practicing family law, I can tell you there are clear warning signs that a marriage is headed for divorce. And one study actually nailed it down to 91% accuracy. I'm Kyle Kaufman with HKK Law Offices, and I'm going to walk you through the 4 biggest predictors that a marriage won't last, and what we see over and over again in real divorce cases. The study I'm referring to came from Dr. John Gottman. He's one of the leading marriage researchers in the world, and he studied thousands of couples, and he found 4 patterns of behavior that almost always predict a breakup. He called these the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I can tell you firsthand, when these 4 behaviors show up, it's only a matter of time before someone ends up sitting in my office. Number 1 is criticism. Not healthy feedback. I'm talking about personal attacks. When it shifts from, I feel unheard, to, you're impossible to talk to, the relationship stops being about solving problems and it starts being about proving who's right. Number 2 is contempt. Now this is one of the biggest red flags. We're talking about things like sarcasm, mockery, eye rolls. It's the body language of disrespect. And once that sets in, the emotional connection starts to die. By the time couples get to court, this is usually the tone you hear. Flat, cold, checked out. Number 3 is defensiveness. Nobody wants to take blame, so every conversation turns into a courtroom argument. Instead of listening, both sides are just wanting to respond. And when that happens, no one feels heard and no one feels safe. Number 4 is stonewalling. That's when one person just shuts down. They just stop talking, they stop engaging, and they pull away emotionally. From the outside, it looks like peace, but in reality, it's the calm before the collapse. So when I look at these 4 things that can lead to divorce, the commonality with all of them is communication. It's how you communicate with your spouse and how your spouse communicates with you. So before you get to that point where divorce is inevitably on the horizon, think about what you're doing. Think about the changes that perhaps you need to make in your communication style. Maybe you need to be more open. Maybe you need to share your feelings. Maybe you need to come with praise rather than criticism. Now here's the thing we know. Only you can change. You can't change the other person. So if it's the other person that simply cannot communicate with you, that's unwilling to come with praise and only criticizes, or the person who doesn't talk and only shuts down, at some point you have to realize you can't control that person. All that you can do is control how you react to the way that they communicate with you. So sometimes that means bringing certainty to your life. I've had people come to me, they've been married 20 plus years. They have a lot of equity in their relationship, but they've just decided what got me here is not going to get me there. These people are young. They still have lots of life left to them, and they shouldn't live in a situation where there's no communication, where there's contempt, where there's criticism. So you can try to change, and if you can positively change and keep your marriage together, that is a win. However, if you make those changes and the other person is unwilling to change, that's where you have to make the critical decision. You have to then decide and do and live with your decision. So that is staying in the relationship and the way it is, or exiting the relationship and living a different life. And a lot of times that's when people come to see me. They just say, I've had enough. I've tried. I've given my best. But now it's time for me to take my energy elsewhere. And that's where we like to work with people through that process and have you come out of a divorce situation feeling more confident about your relationships, your finances, and your personal purpose in your life. So call us at HKK Law Offices. We'd be happy to sit down with you and talk to you about your situation.